Attention, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tom, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Becker?
Here.
Mr. Blumberg?
Here.
Ms. Talley?
Here.
Okay, as we begin, we have a presentation scheduled, CUC Energy. They promised me they would take 8 minutes and then answer questions. Right now.
I'm okay with you going like that.
Okay. Do you want to go up to the microphone?
How much time? 8? 7?
Hello. My name is John Fish with Commercial Utility Consultants. Today we're talking about the energy aggregation program that's available to municipalities in the state of New Jersey. So a quick commercial on Commercial Utility Consultants. It's founded in 1975 by Joe McGillian. The business was built by analyzing bills and overall energy usage from Fortune 500 companies to municipalities, looking for mistakes and securing refunds for its clients. As time went on and deregulation came about, it also developed an online reverse auction platform which allows for competition for third-party providers for these energies for gas and electric. Since 1975, CUC's helped around 10,000 clients save approximately $2 billion. Partial client list from the city of Philadelphia to many municipalities in New Jersey, Verizon, Macy's, some very large Fortune 500 companies. We're very proud of the client list. Okay, energy deregulation. Does everybody understand energy deregulation? Deregulation is the separation of supply and delivery. Delivery is always going to be Atlantic City Electric, always. Delivery, or the supply itself, is up to you. You can choose a third-party supplier. To electric and gas, also, 31 states have some sort of deregulation. In New Jersey, it's been since 1999. Since 1999, less than 16% of individuals have chosen a third-party supplier. Let me ask a question. Does anybody understand why only 16% since 1999 would have switched? Anybody?
It's hard to do.
It's hard, don't understand, may make a mistake. Will it hurt Atlantic City Electric? Fine print. I heard somebody who switched and got a higher rate, and now they're trying to undo it. Cancellation fees, all of that mess that's out there. Well, the state, the BPU and the rate council decided, the Board of Public Utilities decided to look at this program for government energy aggregation in order to get rid of that fine print that is kind of scaring most people from not switching. So right now, who has switched to a third party? Anybody? Just show of hands. Couple people? Couple people? What if I told you everybody here is on a third party supplier? Whether you chose one or not, you're automatically on a third party. Well, when the deregulation happened, and it started in 99, but in 2002, the BPU does a statewide auction. The statewide auction, if you look at your bill when you go home, in the supply section is basic generation services. That auction is already done, and that default rate that you pay is not, does not come up with from Atlantic City Electric. They don't deliver or supply any of their own power. And we'll take a look at that. That's PSE&G, JCP&L, Atlantic City Electric. These are your suppliers currently that were picked by the BPU in that auction. Energy America, Exelon, Morgan Stanley. So Morgan Stanley is a provider of your electricity. That's Rockland, okay. So why are we talking about this now? We're talking about this now because Title 14 in its current form came out in July of 2012. And this gave us the roadmap of how to put a government energy aggregation program together. So what is the government energy aggregation program? the municipality has now the right to compete against the statewide auction. The statewide auction, we told you, came up with the Morgan Stanley, et cetera. You have the right to run a more targeted auction, and if your rate is lower, you move forward. If it's not, you don't. It's that simple. So right now, individuals are already with the state BPU auction. They're not with Atlantic City Electric. Right now, when you pay your Atlantic City Electric bill, you pay it to Atlantic City Electric, and they send it out to one of those suppliers. By replacing the default rate, all we're doing is when you pay PSE&G, it goes to a different company that you chose rather than the state. By implementing the GEA program, all of the individuals in the city of Margate would be included in a group buying power. Those who have not already switched to a third party, those who have switched to a third party would not be affected. But for the people on the default rate, we have the ability to take that usage, go out to auction, and come with a lower rate. That lower rate is, you would be the one deciding if it's low enough to move forward. And you get to compare that versus what the state has already done for you. So we're statewide, all the risk of the entire state, targeted auction for Margate. That rate comes in, all you're doing is replacing the default rate for the residents who haven't switched to a third party. So what's the process? The process is, for the municipality, we have to pass an ordinance. I think we've discussed that. When you pass an ordinance, that would establish the legal basis for the program. It does not commit you to move forward. Please remember that. We're trying to get to the point where we do an auction, you get to view the results. Once we do the auction, we'd actually spreadsheet it for you, a 12, 18, and 24-month term. If you like one of the terms and you move forward, you would select the winning supplier. Then we would open the outreach. What is outreach? Outreach is when we explain and advertise the entire program to all the residents, and they have the opportunity not to be a part of the program. This is very important. The way it's set up, it's an opt-out. Just like the state did when they did the default rate, all we're doing is competing against what they did, and you have the right to do so. The outreach will last at least 30 days, and during that time, all the residents would have an option to opt out of the program. How do you opt out? Through mailings, they can check a box and mail it back in. They can go right on a website, enter their information, check off, or call an 800 number and say, I don't want to be a part of the program, and they immediately are taken out of the program. The outreach, and one of the reasons why it's important to use a group like ours, we have some team members here today that would be assigned to Margate and the other individual municipalities in the co-op to have a team effort in this outreach, and the outreach would go, like I said, with mailings, town hall meetings. We would invite everybody in to get their questions answered, plus they'd get the mail and go online, every which way to get information, and also many options to not be a part of the program. Our program for the online auction program has been vetted by the DCA. What does that mean? Through their e-procurement process, they've gone through the vetting process, which allows municipalities to select us off this list without the full traditional RFP, RFQ process. Our auction creates incredibly competitive results. Every time we go out to auction, we consistently beat our peers. The South Jersey Power Co-op is one of those examples. I think you're in the South Jersey Power Co-op. Our auction beat the South Jersey Power Co-op by over half a penny. And we just helped someone in, where's Hillsborough? What county? Somerset County do the same by beating their co-op pricing by over a penny. When we go out to auction, you can watch it live. At the end of the auction, you'll get a spreadsheet of all the results. These results will be, for your review. We'll have exactly how much we expect to save versus the default rate. All right, so what does it look like? What changes for the resident? The only thing that changes for the resident is one line on their bill. Everything else stays the same. There is a fixed rate. There is, equal payment plans are available. The only thing different would be one spot on the bill where it says BGS. It would say XYZ winning suppliers that you chose, if you chose to pick a winning supplier. Other than that, you still pay Atlantic City Electric. Atlantic City Electric still fixes the lights when they go out. Nothing changes for the resident. All right. So let's go with the summary. All right, well, actually, let's go back. I think I missed one. Real quick, why would you bother going through this process? Right, what the benefits? Why would you do it? The first thing is, when I first looked at this, I'm a numbers guy. I said, wow, we could be a part of saving people a lot of money, and I thought that was nice, that was exciting, that's why we'd want to do it. When the more I read about this and the more we learned about it, the protection to the residents actually came up equal, if not more than just the money savings. Right now you get bombarded with mail, fine print, switch to a third party, you get called all the time. This takes that away. It takes all the fine print away. It's a contract that the third parties have to supply that you approve, not the one they approve. So you have all the control. So that protection's there. Obviously lower rates. Lower rates, it's a very simple thing to see when you do the auction. It'll either make sense or it won't. And you're not committed until the minute you pick a winning supplier. So, quick summary. Ordinance. You pass the ordinance. That and some other paperwork allows us to talk to Atlantic City Electric, and we would schedule an auction. We would view the auction, and you have the right to say, I like it or I don't like it. If you like it, you move forward. If not, we stop there. So there's no hook, there's nothing that the municipality has to do until they pick the winning supplier as far as moving forward. Also, one other step, there is no cost to the municipality. All the costs from this program are burdened by us. We pay that. If there's anything that you have to spend money on for this program, you let us know, we do it for you.
John, can I ask a question there?
Yeah.
So the town hall meetings and any mailings, any PR to inform our residents, all that's done at your expense?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And the outreach is developed with you. We all sit down and you say I want this to happen, and we develop the outreach plan together because you know the city better than I do, and you would tell us where to go and what things you would need to see happen to make you feel comfortable. Okay. So why us? That's the commercial, 38 years in the business, DCA approved for our programs, and we have the first multi-town GEA program going to auction in 2 weeks. You'll be able to view that even before you get to see how yours would work out if you want to use that as a gauge, and you'll be able to, that'll be, published in a couple of weeks. So with that being said, I tried to make it quick, and any, questions?
Yes. If I understand this correctly, John, we're just, this is up for approval to move forward. This is not final commitment. Is that correct?
I couldn't ask you to make a final commitment until you know what the savings are and if there are savings.
Okay. Now, is there a minimum number of communities that you need, or are there other communities in the area that you're dealing with?
Our goal is to have more than one community and try to get the numbers as close to 30,000 meters as possible. It doesn't have to be 30, it can be 20, 25, but that's our goal is to form this co-op. And
have you signed any other communities up, or?
Yeah, Lower Township's waiting to see what you guys are doing, because you guys are, taking the lead if you want to do that. And so you have other communities actually waiting to see what you will do before they make their next step. So I know, is Linwood in?
I think Linwood's
Yeah, so I know Linwood is waiting.
Absecon?
Yeah, Absecon's waiting.
I don't ask questions unless I know the answers, John.
Yeah. And in Cape May, West Cape May is in, Cape May Point is in as well, waiting for some of the direction.
And we'll have a choice length of contract, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I have to tell you, basically, when I started this, I'm against telling people what to do.
Understood.
So I had a problem there. And I had a difference with the opt-out, but you're telling me you will educate the people, and can I expect that maybe you would help them with the opt-out?
Yeah, the opt-out is designed by the BPU, the Board of Public Utilities, to be as easy as possible. So our goal is not to try to make opt-out difficult. We are told to make it as easy as possible. What does that mean? They can check a box off on a card and mail it back in, they're out. They can call an 800 number, they're out. They can go right online, they're out. So if they don't want to talk to anybody, they don't have to, but if they want to talk to somebody, they can. So that's on us. And also the outreach period will be developed with your input. You're going to say, no, John, I need to have this for my community. That's what we do.
Okay. Thanks. I'm done. Brent, did you have any more questions? Maury, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. why is it that so as I understand it, we hold an auction.
Yes,
The city decides that that rate that we're getting is a preferred rate for all the residents. We say, okay, all the residents automatically get that better rate, correct?
yes,
They've done nothing. We've told you, go ahead, they get the better rate. It automatically shows up on their bill,
oh,
correct?
well, after the opt-out and the outreach, et cetera, yes,
Assuming nobody opts out, we've already done the auction, they get the better rate. They're
Right.
going to save $200 a year or whatever it is.
right,
We sign up for a one-year contract, correct? Say
Yes.
we sign up for a one-year contract.
yes,
At the end of year one, the co-op holds another auction.
yes,
The rate is no longer a good rate
Yeah,
for the
that's-
residents of Margate.
correct.
Why can the city not now say, you know what, we're done?
You can,
And with that, take all the residents with us.
correct, you can,
So at the end, so I understand,
yes,
no one's opted out. All the Margate residents are in, right?
yes,
We're all saving $200 a year.
yes.
Next year, we hold an auction,
And the rate comes in higher than
the rate
Atlantic
comes
City
in higher.
Electric default
We
rate.
say, you know what, we're done with you guys.
Yes,
All our residents now come with us,
they fall right
back
back.
to where we were.
Yeah,
They
the
don't
actual-
have to send in any paperwork,
Correct.
sign anything.
You're correct. So the actual contract, whether it's a one-year term, 18-month term, it is a finite contract, that at the end of the term, they're all automatically go back to Atlantic City Electric unless you take an affirmative action to extend it with a new auction.
No penalty, no paperwork.
That's
So
it.
if I didn't know
Yes.
that I was in this preferred program, I will never know, one way or another. Is that correct?
Unless you-
I didn't know I was in, I'm saving the money.
Right.
Now the rate goes up because we're no longer preferred, and I'm still gonna get my rate that Atlantic City Electric was giving me, or that the state program is gonna give me,
Exactly.
whatever they prefer.
You get the lowest rate. That's
Automatically, I'm back in.
Correct,
Don't have to do anything.
correct.
So if I want to save the money, the city's decided we're going to save the money, I'm going to save the money. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. No, nothing hidden there.
No, there's nothing hidden, and on top of that, to add to at the end of the contract, during the contract, and I didn't even touch on this, if it's a 2-year contract, a 1-year contract, 6 months into it, a resident doesn't want to be a part of it because they want to go to a different supplier for green reasons, for whatever reason. They can switch at any time with no cost to them. So even though you sign up for a term, the individual resident is not beholden to that term. They can come and go as they please.
The city is, though.
What's that?
The city is beholden to the term, though, right?
Correct.
Yes, and yeah, there would have to be
Right.
a
So if
material
we-
change,
again,
and then they
we-
can, yeah, if there's a problem with the contract or something material changes, then the solicitor will see, you can actually break the contract, take everybody back
We
in the
sign
middle
up
of
for
it.
a year, we get the rate for a year.
Yeah.
So as fast as we pass an ordinance that says we want to play, next year, we could obligate ourselves to pass another ordinance that says we don't want to play.
You don't-
And
you don't
year
have to do
after
that.
year
You don't
after
even-
year, we could.
Yes.
Well, if we were on the ball, if we had our eye on the ball.
No, you wouldn't have to pass an
I would say
ordinance,
that we
though.
should do that.
Yeah, you wouldn't even have to pass an ordinance, because the first time the ordinance itself is kind of the platform.
Okay.
And then
A
the next
resolu-
step-
But
the
for
resolution-
our own.
Yes.
Because I might die and Mike might be gone, for the people who are here after we are.
Right.
If they know that every year we have to pass an ordinance that says we're going to be in this program or we're going to be out of it.
Correct.
We automatically are protected and have protected our residents. Is that
Yes,
true?
you would have to make an affirmative step, pass a resolution picking a new contract every time you do an auction. So if you don't, for whatever reason, everybody falls back to the default rate. So yes, every term, whether it's a
Right.
year or whatever, you would have to make an affirmative step each
That
time.
could be done by resolution.
Yes, at that point, it would be resolution, yes.
Okay, so to piggyback on Maury's question, so if we sign up, if we do a contract for a year, at that end of the year, it automatically goes back to whomever Atlantic City Electric is using as their default, automatically.
Automatically, unless you take an affirmative action forward to run a new auction, because you probably would run a new auction, but it doesn't mean you have to pick one.
Again, in
You can
that
say no.
regard, in that regard, we will never read or receive a letter from a resident that says, I didn't know this was happening to me, in that they're just not going to save, but they're not going to lose. Is that correct?
mean,
They're not
if we-
going to save.
If we're not going to save, then we...
If the rate goes up.
Right.
They're not going to be surprised by the rate going up because we will have that year gone out for the best rate.
Correct. Correct. And there's one other thing.
And if it's not part of the co-op, if the co-op doesn't get the best rate, then we are defaulting to the state
Yeah.
program and hoping that they get the best rate that they get.
Yeah, basically, you're looking to take the cheaper rate every time.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
And one more thing, if you decide to take a longer rate, let's say it's past a year, just because it makes sense, whatever that, let's say the rate's really low for 18 months, 10 months into it, Atlantic City Electric default rate, because the BPU did the new auction and the rate came lower. Okay, this is one of my main concerns that we wrote into the contract. Atlantic City Electric said 10, we come in at 8.5. 10 months into it, the default rate is now 8. And we have a contract that says 8.5, right? What did we do to everybody? Right now, everybody's paying more. The contract is written that if the default rate drops, we have to at least match it. So nowhere during the term that you would pay more than the default rate from the state. So it's an extra protection. So there's never like, I see what you guys did. You locked us in at this rate, and now the state rate is much lower. That would never happen because it's actually written into the contract that they have to remedy that if the default rate drops.
Who pays CUC?
The winning supplier. It's just like now for your South Jersey Power Co-op. You have a broker that did that. That's through the Camden County Co-op and Dome Tech. Dome Tech is a consultant who used World Energy's platform, their auction platform. So we're an in-house group. We have our own auction platform. The same way that the South Jersey Power Co-op gets paid, that you're in, is the same way we get paid. It gets paid as a part of the actual auction process. Our fee is put on there, so when the auction price comes back, and it comes back and it's a great rate for the residents, we're already included in that rate. There's nothing on top of that.
Maury, it's the same thing with the gas now, that they're talking about us, but the county is running that, correct? So it's the same thing he's saying, but the county is running the one the Dome Tech has now.
Correct.
No, I have a couple more questions. Why is it, can you tell me why the other towns are waiting for Margate to take the lead? Why haven't these other towns already signed on, and what does Margate being the lead mean? What does that mean to us?
You would get the decision on the contract. When it was first discussed, we talked about who wanted to, who wants to be the lead. Margate kind of came to the top. Everybody's looking to, they like to see what you guys would do. There are other municipalities that are standing by who would be happy to take the lead and are kind of, waiting to see what you guys do, and and if you guys are, want to wait or whatever, they're ready to take the lead and move forward. So there has to be a lead agency to form the co-op. A lot of it, can be PR, we're the lead in the co-op. But really, ultimately, you get to decide what the term is if you like to move forward or not. So there's a little bit of more
And the reason
decision
why
power.
these other towns aren't jumping to sign up is why?
Just because
in your opinion?
I have already explained to them that Margate is considering the lead, so they said, okay. As the consultant, we kind of said that if Margate is looking to be the lead, they're looking to us to say, okay, when's Margate moving forward?
And does that mean more paperwork for us? What does it
There's
mean
one
to us?
one more document, and that is the co-op resolution. But then even the ones who join the co-op have to do a resolution to join. So paperwork-wise, you have to go, the co-op itself has to be approved by the DCA, and you have to do that, but of course, we do that for you. We have a relationship with the DCA, we walk through the paperwork, and we mail it up for you.
All right, I have two more quick questions. People that are on, and I heard you say this in your presentation, people who have an annualized bill.
Yes.
When we sign up for this lower rate, say we sign up for the lower rate in June of next year, or whenever it is, will those people still see an annualized bill with reflecting, so say I'm paying $100 a month. Will I now see an annualized bill in July for $90, assuming that we saved, whatever, $1,200 in that period?
Yeah, the only issue that could be when there's a true-up, take us out of the equation. If you know how it works, it's annualized bill, and at the end, if you've overpaid or underpaid, there's a bump, or they say, you're moving up, or we ask for all the money at once.
Right.
Okay, when we redo the supply portion, if there's an underpayment or overpayment, that would get blended in to the new bill. So the answer to your question on the simple terms is yes, but it's not quite that simple, but the answer is yes. So if they've underpaid for 10, 12 months leading into it,
right,
and we take over and redo it, and there's money that's owed, that'll be factored in, but it'd still be a lot, the savings would still be...
Well, it would have been factored in no matter what, is what
Well,
I'm
yes,
trying to say.
exactly. But I don't want to say, yeah, no problem, 10 to 90, and then you say, how come it was 105? Because, well, it would have been 130 if
Right.
we didn't do this. That's why I
Right.
say that.
Okay.
But, yeah, just not to make it too simple of an answer.
Okay. I think you've answered all my questions.
Good question.
And thanks for your time.
Great questions.
Thank you, guys.
Mayor,
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
You certainly may.
Thank you. Again, just to repeat, the lead, nothing else but a piece of paper, and people looking to Margate because we're the best in the world.
That's it.
Now,
We will walk you through the steps, right, of the DCA, formation. It's the CP 2001, it's checking the box and a signature, and it's the resolution and the contract. But if you were not the lead, you'd still have to participate in those, co-op documents. It's just a different document.
one last question. I don't know if you can answer this, but I've been doing this as purchasing agent for a long time, and everything I've been involved with energy, with gas and electric, the county's always taken the lead with this. Is there a reason why they're not? Is it politics, or what is it?
There is, we got a letter from them that they were, as you know, I don't know if you know this, but they were looking to do this, and then they rejected all bids and decided not to move forward with it and are leaving it up to the individual municipalities. And I believe that's a political issue.
Okay.
Okay?
Turn your mic on.
My question is just a matter of clarification. I thought in the beginning in your presentation you had said that the city goes into this co-op, and then these new rates would apply to only those people who have the default rate. Is that right? So
It
if
is.
I already have a third-party supplier,
Yep.
then none of this would apply to my bill?
Correct. And the longer answer to that is, in the outreach and the education program, you have the right to cancel your current third-party supplier and take the new rate if it's lower. But we caution everybody, and the reason why is if your particular contract has a cancellation fee, the last thing you want to do is pay a bunch of money to save a little bit. You know what I mean? So that's why. So on an individual basis in the outreach, we'll talk, anybody has a third party has questions, please contact us. And once you verify you don't have the third party cancellation fee, you'll have the ability to jump in if you wish.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Just to piggyback on that, but anybody that's not, it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, John, but if I have a third party, I'm not, you don't turn me over to the new, I'm with that third party.
You're always with the third party, right?
Great, okay.
You're not even included in the list,
Can't play.
You're not, you're,
unless you want to.
no. Thank you very much.
I have one question, if I may.
No.
No?
Yes, go ahead. Go.
It actually relates to people that are on budgets with Atlantic City Electric. And I do know that if you're on a budget with Atlantic City Electric and you switch to a third party, you're no longer on the budget. They will not budget that number in. So
Right, that, in our program through Title 14, it's written that they have to satisfy the budget. There is no, on an individual, if somebody just picks a third party, yes, they're kicked off the budget billing,
Right.
or in this program, that does not happen.
Okay.
But that's a good question, because people, no. It's a very good
It's
question.
a great question, because probably 80% of the people are budgeted.
Yeah. When we talked to Atlantic City Electric, believe it or not, the number was like 40%. I was surprised. I actually thought it was much hire.
Okay. You okay, Fred? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I think you've answered all the questions.
We're good?
Thank you
All right.
very much.
Thank you.
Okay. we're going to go right to department reports, and I think, Rich, do you mind starting? I think there's some gentlemen here that want to get out of here, and a lady also.
Mayor and Commissioners, as you know, I have in the past read a letter into the record relating to negotiated contracts for labor contracts. I'd like to do the same today so that we're consistent with the different associations or unions that we've been dealing with. This is the following letter. There'll be an action taken at the next meeting at 3 o'clock to approve a contract. I am pleased to advise that we have completed negotiations with the City of Margate Policemen's Benevolent Association, Local Number 65, PBA, for a labor contract for 2013, 14, and 15. Similar to the previous multi-year labor contracts approved earlier this year, there has been an emphasis on long-term savings through a substantially longer number of years before maximum salary is obtained for all new employees. Additionally, there is a new starting salary lower than the existing starting salary for incoming patrol officers. A main feature of the agreement for the city is that all new uniformed officers without prior certification will begin at an academy rate of $35,000. There will be 10 additional steps ranging from $41,000 to $91,000, whereas the current scale provides for top salary after 4 years. Therefore, the fifth-year officer on the former scale is paid $89,074, while a Step 5 patrol officer on the new scale is paid $63,552, a savings of $25,522. Similarly, there are savings for each of the first 10 years of employment for each new officer. In addition, longevity will not be paid for new patrol officers until they complete their 10th year of service. Thereafter, compared to the present contract, longevity rates have been reduced by 0.5% for each year until retirement. Changes in vacation leave for new employees will result in savings for the city during the next 10 years of 15 total days for each new officer hired, which will reduce pressure on the schedule and either save on overtime or have additional officers available for safety services. This contract provides salary increases for current employees of 3% for 2013, 2.5% in both 2014 and 15. It may be argued that if we reached impasse and went to arbitration, we could have saved 1% of salary in 2013 and 0.5% in 2014 and 15. While that may be true, we would just as likely have a new contract with 5 or 6 step plan and no changes to longevity or vacation schedules. We have labor peace with better officer morale and productivity. We have saved thousands in arbitration legal fees and have positioned ourselves for more savings in total salaries paid over the 3 years through the revisions in the salary scale, providing we hire just 1 new officer during the period, and the expectation is we will hire at least 3 replacement officers within the next year. I recommend this contract for approval, as it is in the best interest of the Margate citizens and fair to the association members as well. I thank the PBA representatives for the fair and professional manner in which they approached the negotiations and for working diligently to arrive at these new contract terms. I would also like to thank the Police Chief, Chief Wolfson, and Finance Director Lisa McLaughlin for their assistance. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. And, Rich, I personally want to thank you for the great job you've done all year, and especially with the PBA. And for PBA, for you guys sitting there, we appreciate the cooperation. I always have a saying, and I know my daughter is going to tell me how corny it is, reasonable people can sit at a table and work out their problems. And I thank you very much. You guys have been great, and you know what I think of you. So thank you very much, guys. Rich, do you have anything else?
I do.
You may as well continue.
It is likely at the next meeting, the next regular meeting, second meeting in September, that we will bring a contract to you for your consideration for landscape architectural consulting services as it relates to the Parkway. As you all know, the Parkway is an historic part of the community. There was some considerable damage during the storm. We have patched it together, and I give a lot of credit to our Public Works Department for doing that. The fountains, by and large, have worked all year. The electric has worked all year. But there's been tree damage. We have had to go out and find someone to help us do some minor trimming. There's some splits in the trees that are 30 years old up there now, which is not unusual for the type of tree that was planted. We've talked about in the capital plan, taking a look at the Parkway as a community, taking our time with respect to it. I've worked with Tom as the purchasing agent, and Chiron COP Incorporated was the original designer of the project. Mr. Chiron has a property in Margate. He's extremely vested in that project from 30 years ago to today. He presented a proposal to us back in the spring when we were working with FEMA. Tom and I have asked him to redo that proposal, and he's just sent it to me yesterday. And I've asked Tom to, pending your approval, to prepare a resolution at the next meeting, which would allow us to enter into a conceptual design contract, an analysis of all of the trees and all of the facilities that are in the Parkway. And so I just want to bring that up now and see if you had any questions. The initial stage, we have gotten him to break down his contract and be able to at least present something with viable alternatives for $20,000. It's actually 18 plus some expenses, and I've asked for a resolution not to exceed $20,000. So if you have any questions now or next week, I just wanted to bring it up at the workshop so you begin to think about it. And
Thank you, Rich.
I have a quick question, Rich. A lot of the azaleas, the boxwoods, the hydrangeas are gone as a result of the storm. So when we do in fact replace those, are we on record that we want to try and recover that cost as part of hurricane damage?
we are on record, Commissioner. It is unlikely that we're going to get money specifically for the damaged landscaping. However, it is likely that we will get money for even the more expensive portions of it, which is the electrical and the water, right, irrigation parts of it.
Yeah. We did discuss that with FEMA, and they were not very receptive to any vegetation, any reimbursement for vegetation.
Really? So, for example, the replacements that we did around City Hall, we didn't try and get reimbursement for those, or did we?
Yeah, we did.
And were we successful?
You know what, I'm not certain if that portion is, but that project has not been finalized and is still open. So I'll follow up with them
No.
to see if
What I'm
there's
saying
been a
is if we,
determination.
if we submitted those invoices and
Right,
they,
it will be.
they're, as far as I'm concerned, they're legitimate costs as a result of the hurricane. If we didn't have salt water in those, areas, we'd still have shrubs and trees.
We argued the point with them, and they didn't, and like Lisa said, that particular project is still open
Right,
because we're
okay.
looking at doing all the codes and standards upgrade for the building. But Karen Johnson was not very receptive, or did not think it was something that was going to be reimbursed. They did say
Well, I mean,
the
I guess-
irrigation system, the lighting system, pumps, anything we had to do for the fountains, any hard items, but for some reason vegetation just didn't seem to fall in.
Would it hurt to try and/or send a letter letting them know that we do believe we have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of damage, and, we'd like a decision from them? Are they going to Are they going to help us with
I don't see, we can give it a try.
Okay.
We certainly can give it a try.
You could also file an appeal.
Fine. Well, I mean, as long as, if we get on record with it, then at least we've, taken a shot.
And it's a landmark for Margate, really.
Rich, you have anything else? Okay, thank you. Ed, why don't you step to the plate here?
There's quite a lengthy items on here. I'll just go through the relevant ones. The municipal building upgrades here, Union Avenue School Phase 1. There's a resolution authorizing us to put a bid on those items. In addition to that, we have requested quotes on some other items, which will... Oh, sorry about that. Okay, we're going to bid on Union Avenue, the Union Avenue School / new municipal building renovations or upgrades for the HVAC system. In addition, we have solicited quotes for other items and have had some work done, and one in particular would be the burner for our boilers. We solicited quotes for reduced capacity burner so we can eliminate the black seal issue. That looks like it should go through. I believe I saw an email going through to you, Frank, from Ron, that we did solicit 2 quotes, received a low bid of like $8,700, change the burner out, isolate the old boiler, and then the black seal issue goes away.
Good.
Frank, just you and I spoke about it this morning, but I know it's 90 degrees out, but all of a sudden in a month we can be cold snap. So if you can stay on Ron just to make sure. I know there's a lot of work that has to be done.
Okay. So that's happening. The schematic and recommendations for codes and compliance for the old municipal building, I'd like to have an informal meeting maybe within a week or so to go over that and then present that to the commissioners, so then I can file the report with FEMA for the all the costs associated with bringing that building up to codes and standards. And the codes and standards are ADA accessibility, floodproofing, anything that would be necessary for to bring the courtroom and the court operations up to standards. So we're going to pile everything that's necessary to bring the building up to all the applicable codes and standards, because we've been led to believe that that is a reimbursable expense by FEMA under their mitigation program and their codes and standards issues. So we're working on that. The cellular tower lease at Gladstone Avenue, we're receiving those bids on the 10th. Apparently it'll be one bidder, but that should generate another $30,000 per year revenue.
Is that the one that Scott was working on?
Yes, yeah.
We changed that one lease.
We took care of the concerns, yes. There's also 2 resolutions on here for state aid road applications for the Transportation Trust Fund, one being for Amherst Avenue from Vendome to Washington, and the other being Winchester Avenue from Granville to Jerome. Okay, we were denied last year for the Amherst Avenue one because the condition of the road is not that bad. We're going to continue to try, but by applying for 2, we should get one of them.
If we were to get the Winchester, is there any impact or working closely with the storm pump job possibly, or?
We're starting at Jerome and going up to Granville because that's a separate drainage area from the other pump station. Right. However, they're interrelated to a degree, so that area drains to Granville Avenue, which goes to our existing stormwater pumping station behind the tank. That pipe, the stormwater system in Winchester is in poor condition, so by upgrading it, it will help. In addition, I think back in '93, that road was funded by DOT. So it's at the end of its useful life. It should be applicable. It should rank rather high because it takes from a county road to a school. It has all the characteristics of a good application.
Wasn't there a modification done back in '93 with storm drainage right around Haverford where a disconnect or a connection was made?
No, well, when we did Haverford Avenue from Amherst to Monmouth, we installed pipe for, we installed a force main for that block with the intention of eventually installing another force main from Monmouth to Winchester, and the possibility in the future of putting a small stormwater pumping station right at the corner.
Could this, if they wanted to, could this, if we get the grant, could this all come into play?
We can certainly put add some pieces to the puzzle. Okay. The Ventnor Avenue streetscape survey is scheduled for a week and a half from today. Gladstone Avenue water tank painting, I believe there's a resolution here for that also. Yes, where we will bid that on we'll bid it on September 10th, receive it on October 10th, with anticipating that work will be done in the spring of 2014. Additionally, the Benson Avenue water tank, we did the annual inspection, and there's a lot of deficiencies in that paint job. So the contractor's been notified. We're negotiating with them to come back and repair or resurface the areas that are poor, which is almost the whole tank. If there's any resistance, then we go to the bond on that. But that's why we do an anniversary inspection as part of our bid.
How old is that paint job?
I believe it's only a year and a half old, or are we 2 years old? 2 years old. Paint job, we should get 5 to 7 out of. Normal, offshore, 10, but along the coast, 5 to 7. And we did meet. We went through all the roads for the 2013/14 road program. There are 6 roads that were selected. That would be Benson Avenue from Atlantic to the beach, Douglas Avenue, Beach Block, Exeter Avenue, Beach Block, Granville Avenue, Mansfield, which we did the sewer repair, and Marshall Avenue from Douglas to Minnie Creek. Many of our beach blocks sustained a lot of damage, or just seemed to be showing signs of damage as a result of the storm, whether it was from the cleanup or whether it was from the weight of all the sand on top and the cleanup. Many issues. We haven't done many beach blocks in the 21 years I've been here. Generally, we do other states, so we're catching up on the beach blocks that need to be done. And we will start, construction will start on the 2012 road program, September 16th. And I believe we're anticipating starting on Argyle, because Argyle's a very long street. It has a storm pipe that needs to be repaired. It has a water main and a sanitary sewer. So there's a lot of utility work on that block. It's actually almost 2 blocks. But I believe that's where the contractor is anticipating starting. They will coordinate with the police chief, with the fire chief, and will issue a schedule to us on the 16th. And I believe that is, and also I just opted out of my third-party electric yesterday because I looked at my electric bill, which is something I really don't do, and found that the third party that I was with, which I got through the mail type thing, was 4 cents a kilowatt hour higher than Atlantic Electric's default rate. So.
Are we going to save you money?
That's why I'm looking forward to this, because I want to save even more money.
Thank you, Ed. Chief?
Ed, can you just get a brief report on the pump station?
Oh, I'm sorry. We had a meeting, and I apologize, I don't have the exact date, but about 2 weeks ago, I met with Ventnor City's engineer, Charles Sabatini. I met with Tom Gannard from the Atlantic County Utilities Authority, several of the Public Works members, and the mayor from Ventnor was also stopped by at the meeting. We looked at the structure, the concrete structure of the pump station, to determine, because the issue was raised on how bad really is the structure. We looked at the structure and found, based on 73 high-resolution photos that were taken inside the structure by the city of Ventnor, as well as all looking in the structure, going under the structure, It's not in bad shape. The concrete is in very good shape. There are 2 areas where we can install pumps easily. I was very optimistic on how the project could progress based on that inspection. And we would take the old building down that was there. Everything would go as submersible pumps. It could be done nicely. And again, it's a Ventnor issue. You could incorporate, almost make it a sitting park when it's done. Okay, there's a big concrete structure there. They could fence, put benches. You're overlooking the water. It's so far, I haven't heard anything negative. 2 residents came out. They were thrilled that we were looking at it. So the estimate has been upped to somewhere around $1.4 million for grant purposes. It's always prudent to ask for the absolute maximum that you think when you're applying for a grant. But given the condition of the structure, I'm confident it'll come in under that. So, but we are continuing to correspond. The 3 engineers, the county has also been involved, and hopefully within a month or 2, we'll see some sort of conceptual design on paper from the ACUA.
Who's got the lead with this, Ed?
I'm sorry?
Who has the lead with this?
Actually, the ACUA. The ACUA is, as part of their contribution, they are doing the actual design documents. They'll do the bid documents. They'll do the construction management. Okay, so they will do all the soft cost relative to the design and engineering. However, they are keeping both Ventnor and us in the loop so that we have input, because they realize it's affecting our communities. So it's been a very good relationship so far.
And is the county contributing financially, or?
The county is contributing a third.
That's what the impression, and nothing has been done in writing yet, but it's always been Ventnor, Margate, the county, third financially. ACUA would do the design, all the soft costs, the design documents, and everything, and then would operate the station. So that's how it's, the handshake agreement has been so far.
Thank you, Ed. Chief Tabasco.
Thank you. Okay. One other thing, and I have to see whether you're available, Scott. Jimmy and I want to meet at 2 o'clock next Tuesday. I pulled out all my documents. When I did the first bulkhead, a few years back, we didn't actually have a bulkhead ordinance in town. We did a bulkhead ordinance. We established elevation for beachfront bulkheads. We established a minimum and maximum for bayfront bulkheads. We established a permitting process for that. I pulled out my files, my study. I did a rather detailed study where we actually photographed all the bulkheads along all the bayfront, and we need to revisit that now for several reasons. We need to revisit it for height. All the beachfront heights changed with the preliminary working maps. The bayfront bulkheads, our maximum is decent, our minimum is low at this point. So we look to need to raise that. We have to look at the permit itself. We have to put more teeth in the permitting process. And the basis for our decisions will be formulated on the actual elevations from FEMA's mapping that's been done. At some point then, once we come up with some preliminary numbers, we have to look how it rolls into the zoning issues. But we need to get that started. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, it should help us with the CRS also. So that's where we're at. I did, like I said, I pulled out all my old photos. I pulled out all the other adjacent municipalities. I checked all their bulkhead ordinances, so we need to sit down and go through that, but we're working on that.
I can't speak for the rest of the commission, but I'm hoping that you'll give us a recommendation based on the studies that we've done for whatever that, maybe not even a low and a high, maybe just...
Just one number. And that's the way I think we should go, but And that's the way a lot of the other beachfront communities are going. So, in addition, I'm going to meet with Ocean City because they're in the same process as we are right now, so I'm going to meet with Roger over there, and we're going to discuss or maybe trade suggestions. That's it.
You promise. Chief Tabasco.
We are currently in the process of replacing the damaged equipment from the accident at the firehouse. Just so that you can understand, it's a completely new overhead door, a portable pump, gear racks, and some structural damage where the car had ran into the wall. Once we're through replacing this, we're going to submit everything for insurance coverage. Also, if you're familiar with the tent that we used to house our engine in the Longport Fire Department while Station 1 was closed, that's been dismantled, and with the help of Public Works and the Fire Department, we'll be removing all of that equipment and storing some of it in a Public Works garage, and that should be done by tomorrow. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Frank?
Yeah, we're going to start flushing fire hydrants October 7th to the 11th. School opens on Monday. We prepared all the schools by cutting the grass, trimming the bushes, mulching all the flower beds. The schools are done and ready to go. And this weekend, there's two events, the Dean Randazzo Surf for a Cause and the Latour Down Beach, which we do help them out with their trash and things like that to recycle. That's all I got.
Thank you, Frank. Lisa?
Brief this time, Mayor. Next meeting, I'll have more to report. I'm just getting back from vacation, so after I get through reconciling August, I'll have some numbers for you to see how we fared through the season regarding, badges, overtime, and things like that. I'll also start gearing up for the 2014 budget. Preliminarily, at last month's JIF meeting, they proposed a 2.4% increase to our assessment. It's currently approximately $840,000, so it came in better than I had anticipated, but I'll keep you advised as to the final numbers.
Thank you, Lisa. Scott, do you have anything?
Very briefly, Mayor, on our next agenda for a regular meeting, we have the revocable license agreement with resolution. I was under the impression we had talked about this before, but perhaps we did not. And we do have this practice of waiting between meeting dates to vote on that, but it is ready. It was a planning board approval that allows a freestanding sign for the Colmar Center, Home Center, and kitchen design. It's at the pleasure of the three of you. I know you generally recuse yourself on this one. It's up to the other two commissioners, but if you want, we could just as easily go to 2 months if you feel that's appropriate or whatever. Maury, any comment on, or your...
Just that, if it's available, I'd like to see a sketch and/or whatever Roger, the planning board approved. Is there a sketch that's available that we could review?
Yeah, I wasn't aware it was on the agenda today, but I could get it between meetings if you want.
Well, I think the idea would be to let us review the sketch.
Sure.
Then we could discuss it, and then maybe we could vote on it at the next meeting.
Okay, I'll get a copy to all
At the
three
next
of you.
meeting in 2 weeks, not the next meeting tonight.
Okay.
Okay. Also, I want to thank the chief. We now have revised our rules and regulations for the Margate City Police Department. Chief Wilson and his staff worked and put together basically these upgrade to our existing rules. This is something, Mayor, where you as head of the department would sign, and I would like to have it mentioned so it's in our minutes at our regular meeting in 5 minutes from now, hopefully, so that's part of the record. That's what our ordinance says to do. That's what other communities do. Chief, you're nodding your head in agreement. You're happy with it, and thank you for your efforts on that. That's basically it. That's all.
Thank you. All right, Tom?
I had wanted to have a written report for you, but I don't have the information back yet regarding the parkway and the landscaping. and the complaints we've been receiving. So complaints are in two categories. One, people are complaining about animals getting sick, and they thought possibly from pesticides, which according to the Board of Health, who has forwarded it on to the DEP now, that they reviewed the logs of our landscaper, and the last treatment was back in June, so it could not be possible, they say, but they are still reviewing it. The other part of the complaint, the other half of the complaint is quality of the work, which Frank and I are in tune with. We're waiting to meet with our landscape architect, Kyrone, and I just prefer not to get into any more detail on that right now for several reasons, but there are some complaints and there are a few problems regarding the landscaping.
Do you have anything else?
Yes, and I will have a written report. As soon as the Board of Health gets back to me, they forwarded it to, I asked them for something in writing. They gave me a verbal a couple weeks ago, but I have not gotten back their written report. On the agenda tonight is, Rich and I brought it up a month or so ago about some adjustments for water and sewer bills. There were a number of them. Most of them are the Casablanca, which for the most part is still not fully open. I think the second floors are maybe people in there, but they've been out for about a year. Rich and I went over these, reviewed them with Sandy. If you have any questions or whatever you want to do, that's the recommendation we have for the credits and deletions.
Tom, I just have a question about the boundaries or the parameters for the refunds. Are they for property that's been condemned?
A lot of them, most of them are for the Casablanca, okay? If you look at the list, there's about 25 and about 18 or 12 are for the Casablanca. That was condemned or uninhabitable. Jimmy said they just started occupying the second floor in the past month or two?
Past month.
Past month, so yes. The other ones, most of them were either uninhabitable as declared by Jimmy or something possibly with the assessor's office where there was substantial damage. So that was the basis that we used.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we were being fair because we had many requests. I wanted to make sure we were evaluating them.
I understand that. That's why the first time we elected, you made a wise, or you made a decision not to do anything initially. And that was, we thought, at the right time. But then as we started to see and talk to people that they weren't in their houses for almost a year, and we told Jimmy's records, there was a little disconnect we had between offices, and we did see, that's why we came back to you. And we tried to be careful is that we didn't open up a can of worms here.
Okay, good.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Tom. Roger?
The building boom in Margate continues unabated, and I see no end to the continuation of new houses, major renovations. We are also having a lot of activity with the planning board. We have 11 cases in September. The board decided to have 2 meetings instead of just one in order to handle all the cases. So just to keep you in touch with that. Rich Deeney found a new program which he has had Fred put on the website called RenewJerseyStronger.org. It is a program offered by the state giving $30,000 to eligible primary homeowners to raise their houses, to elevate their houses. It was covered in the Atlantic City Press this morning. All you have to do is go to www.renewjerseystronger, that's one word, .org, and there's a very simple application form that you fill out. It takes about 5 or 10 minutes, and you're on a list to get the $30,000. It looks a little more real than some previous programs that have been available in the past that have not materialized. So for those of you out there, or there are people who are listening to the minutes of this hearing, it pays to take the 5 or 10 minutes and apply for it. That's all.
Thank you, Roger. Jimmy?
I think everybody summed it up. Ed with the bulkhead, and you with the Renew Jersey Stronger. Been doing that for a couple months. Ed, do you want to look at Essex and the beach, the street? There's a couple of really bad street openings. Maybe that could be on our road improvement project. And Essex and the beach. There's a really couple of bad street openings that are done closer to the bulkhead, and there's a new house being built right there, so they're going to break into the street. That's all I have.
Thanks, Jim. Chief?
We're geared up for the Latour Down Beach this weekend. hopefully to be a nice day, and we're putting in motion preparation for Fun Fest. Other than that, I'm just glad summer's over.
When did the fast flashing lights go on?
Maury, you have anything?
Rosie, no?
Rosie.
She's good? Yeah, I need to, I have a couple of questions for John. So if you would, as I was thinking, I had 2 more questions for you. I want to make sure, because we've put this ordinance on the agenda tonight to vote, which is why you guys are hanging around. So I want to make sure that, thank you, it was a great presentation. I want to make sure that the subsequent term, once we sign up for the savings, subsequent term, if the savings are not there and the city decides to switch back, there are no costs to the city or the residents that were in the program for the switch. Obviously, there's got to be costs involved from Atlantic City Electric to redo and/or do a global switch of all the bills. Are the residents going to be charged if we go out of the co-op the second year or third year, whatever it is?
The answer to the question is absolutely.
No costs.
No cost.
No cost. Okay. My next question is, how many administrative hours can we expect that someone here in the city of Margate is going to have to expend to administer and monitor the program over and above what we're doing now? Is there, obviously there's, there has to be some time from our team. What can we estimate based upon your experience with other towns? Somerset, I think you said Somerset was in the program.
Yeah.
Well, they're gigantic, but...
There's another co-op already starting that'll be good, so we've had to, walk you through all the documents. There will be a couple hours spent by various individuals. Appreciate
Sorry.
Okay, so there will definitely be a couple hours spent. Your solicitor will have to review contracts.
Okay.
Okay? And then from there, you're going to appoint someone who's going to be the go-to person, whether that would be the business administrator. And there will be some, typical documents that will have to be, I need this done and reviewed and then back. So it's not...
Okay, so we need to establish a point person here
Correct.
within the city.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not talking about hours and hours and hours.
Okay.
Okay, it's once we get the initial review of certain documents, and again, probably most of the time would be spent by the solicitor, reading through the documents, making sure they're good, and then that would be majority of the time spent, which again, we're not talking about 20 hours.
All right, and so then the last thing that I would ask for, if you don't mind, is if you could email to Rich, and then maybe you've already done this. You said there's other co-ops. 3 references that we could talk to about, how these other towns
And
are
time and
finding the program.
Absolutely.
Okay? You'll give him your card, or maybe he already has it. Okay.
Hey, John,
That's all I have. Thank
One
you.
more quick question. I forgot. I don't know if you answered this before, but the city itself, with our buildings and pump stations and all that, these savings, obviously?
Well, right now, you've already done this with the
Okay.
South Jersey Power Co-op.
Okay.
We're committed with that.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Except this building, correct.
Except this
So,
Okay.
again, not to go too far on this, but when the South Jersey Power Co-op is finished,
Right.
you would have the ability, and that would be discussed as an lead agency, to have the other towns who are not,
Okay.
to go out on your own. You have the ability to do that. It's not mandatory, it's a selection.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Brenda?
No, I have what, remember I said I had two?
All right, thank you.
Okay, my second item is related to my understanding that Commissioner Talby is looking to abandon our state-recognized Adopt a Beach program. And I would suggest that I think that that's a mistake. Furthermore, I think that if we are going to dismantle the program, it should be discussed publicly amongst the three commissioners, and it should be a commission decision, not Commissioner Talby's decision. I also respectfully request that at our next work session, we have that discussion, now that it's out in public, that we are looking to abandon that program. I request the public discussion. I also request that, I believe, we have upwards of $13,000 in an account specifically set aside for Adopt a Beach and Adopt a Beach programs, that that account be frozen, that no money be spent until we have a decision on the program itself and the refunding of the money, or what we're going to do with the money. So I'm not looking for comment now. I would like to see this on our work session agenda 2 weeks from now, and that's all I have.
Sure. You okay?
I'm good, I'm done.
Brenda?
Just a few things. Our Public Works Department really, seldom do we get thank yous, but we get a lot of complaints, or sometimes we do. And this summer, I think our Public Works Department did an outstanding job. I might have had 2 complaints all summer long, and so thank you, Frank. I think our recipe works. We hired 4 temporary employees to help us with cleanup, and I think it worked really well this summer. So we'll have to do that again next year. Nice job. And Jim Galantino, the number really stuck out in my head. We saved our residents over $200,000 in building permit fees that had Sandy damage. So that was awesome. Thank you. We can most definitely talk about the Adopt a Beach program at our next work session. I have no problem with that. It wasn't my decision, it was our committee's decision. There was a lot of discussion about whether the Adopt a Beach program is doing what its goal and purpose was, and that is to help clean the beach up. I think that the feedback was that the signs are more clutter and advertising than beach cleanup, but we can definitely talk about it. And the money would only be spent, and again, we can talk about this at the next work session meeting too, but it would only be spent on sustainable Jersey programs, green, beautification, things of that nature, but we won't spend anything until we talk. And I'm just curious why I came up at a public meeting. I had concerns about the merit increase that you gave your Revenue and Finance Department with certain individuals excluded, and I went through Rich and Scott. So you could have spoken with Rich first too, but I have nothing to hide. You can bring it out, and we'll talk about it in 2 weeks. And I want to wish our Jewish mayor and commissioner and our residents and everybody a happy holiday.
Thank you. Thank you. Tom, would you put that on the workshop for the next?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay. I will be brief, as I always am. As you know, tonight is Jewish New Year. It's Rosh Hashanah. I want to wish everybody also very happy, healthy New Year. And now, of course, the announcement of the biggest thing in the city of Margate. I've spoken with the police department, and the blinking lights will come on September 16th. So Everybody, we make Margate happy at least once a year. Chief, thank you for all that you've done. We'll now open for public comment for anything that was discussed here today.
Sewell, 22 West Drive. Following up on the remarks of Commissioner Blumberg, I might remind him, as well as Frank and everybody else, and Ed, that there are historic grants through the New Jersey State Department which are sizable, and they're outright grants. So that may definitely cover the shrubbery along the parkway, since it's designated historic landmark and such. And I would begin to have both those applications run through, the FEMA appeal plus the New Jersey Historic Grant Program. Following up on the remarks of Ed Wahlberg, I believe he was referencing Phase 1, if I'm not correct. I did not hear any ballpark figures tendered at that time. And do we have a Phase 2, 3, and 4, or is it just primarily a Phase 1? Two questions, two-part question.
At least 2 phases. First phase is somewhere... Ed, could you mind speaking into the...
At least 2 phases.
At least 2.
Okay, that's what we anticipate. The total for Phase 1 was somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000.
And Phase 2, approximate?
Probably similar to that.
So you're looking at close to $600,000 all told. Is any part of that going to be covered on any type of FEMA grant?
That's what we're going to attempt to, as part of our permanent relocation, we're going to see if there's any of that can be. In addition to that, we're going to look at, and I can't recall the program, but to see if there's a program for high efficiency units for the state reimbursement. So that's everything we're doing is going to be either
grant-oriented,
high efficiency, more green products. So we're going to look to see if we can get some of that money too.
And also, when these heating devices are installed, are we going to try to jack them up at least 36 inches in the event of any...
Well, actually, everything's going to be up in the ceilings.
Including all the boilers and all?
Well, the boiler, we're doing we're doing a remove one of the old boilers. We're going to change the burner in the second boiler, reduce the size. Further down the line, we may take and replace with a smaller high-efficiency boiler and raise everything up 4 feet.
48 inches?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Motion to close public comment, please.
I'll make a motion that we close public comment. Oh. I make a motion that we leave public comment open.
It's been a long day. You have to walk faster.
Good afternoon. Shane Kineski from, is this better? Can everybody hear me? From the Margate PBA. Just want to say thank you to Rich Deeney, Chief Wolfson, and the commissioners for passing our hard-earned contract. Also, on the behalf of the locals committee that we had put together, we put some long hours in, and I just want to say thank you very much. Very much appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your service, all of you guys. Thank you. Now we can close public comment.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Talking.
Yes.
Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting, please?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Blumberg?
Yes.
Talking.
Yes.
We will take a very short break and move on.